that guy's supposed to go.
Welcome back, everybody, to Lesbian Book Club. We are going to be covering the L word today, everybody's favorite. We're on season 2, episode
4.
Thank you, Haylie. I can't even keep track anymore. What were your overall thoughts of this episode? I felt like this was kind of like a filler episode, to be honest.
I thought that this episode was about Jenny. The other thing is, I think it was just kind of like a little bit of a comedic relief episode in some ways.
Yeah.
And also, but it's just out here. In other ways, between Bet and Tina, it was like sort of pushing it over the edge of both of their stories in a way that like I anticipated happening for each of them.
Yeah. We also met 3 new characters, which I'm excited to talk about. We have met Mark, which is going to fit into the Jane. That was Jenny and Shane in my head combined. Jenny and Shane's storyline. We met, what is the guy that runs Toe, Kit Porter's, Mel Robbins.
Oh my gosh, Benjamin Bradford. He was giving me the willies.
Yeah, he gives me the ick for sure. And Helena Peabody.
Yeah. The title of this episode was so clever because it was called Lynchpin, spelled like Jane Lynch's last name.
I know.
And this was like the linchpin in the end of the situation between Tina and the divorce attorney played by Jane Lynch.
Yes.
And I mean, I could feel it coming. It was just getting more and more uncomfortable. But anyway, I loved the title because as soon as I saw it, I was like, something's gonna happen here. Yeah,
I loved it too. Okay, well, let's just hop into these storylines. Let's save Jenny and Shane's maybe for last, since that seems to be like kind of a big focus area. Who should we start with?
Let's start with Bet.
Okay, and Helena's introduction here.
Yeah.
So the episode opens up with somebody we've never seen before who looks an awful lot like Bet. And she's in a psychologist's office, which is another woman.
Which I was so confused about because I spent this whole episode thinking that was Alice's mom who was the psychologist. And it took me a Google search to be like, wait a second, that's not her. Who is this lady? Why do I know her?
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, no.
Has she come up before?
No, I don't think so.
I just know her because she's an actress.
Probably.
Okay. All right. Continue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And we just see like a lot of lines being crossed here because Helena is like very aggressively pursuing her psychologist. And her psychologist is like, no, thank you. I can't believe this happened. I'm so sorry. But then they end up hooking up. And I think that's a good introduction to Helena's character. Helena gets what Helena wants. And now we can juxtapose that with Bet, who is not getting anything she wants. What did you think of that opening scene?
Yeah, I mean, I was more so lost in the sauce of, oh my gosh, it's Alice's mom, and I can't believe that she's a psychologist because she's like so self-absorbed. But now that I'm
reprocessing.
Yeah, now that I'm reprocessing. It is interesting after knowing Helena's role in the Peabody Foundation, how she's now like the head of it and she's deciding where all of the funds go, how she maybe doesn't have like quite the sound of judgment as her mom believes her to have.
Yeah, for sure. So Bet is on a mission. She's in New York. Her immediate meeting has been canceled. It's been moved to the next day. And she's pissed about it, obviously, because that's Bet. But then she finally meets with Helena, and Helena is like much more interested, instead of funding the arts like Peggy Peabody, in social justice causes, which I'm like, okay, that's great. But then I found out that they're only trying to get $35,000. And I was like, that sounds like that's like nothing for an art museum. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was a little weird. But again, early 2000s. And Bet is just trying her very hardest to like really get Helena on her side. She's trying to relate to her. And it's just not working. Helena is just like a stick in the mud. She does not care about anyone's feelings.
It was just really disrespectful how Bet came all the way from coast to coast to have a meeting with her, and she blew her off on day one and then did not give her the time of day, didn't read her proposal, gave her like 30 seconds of talking to her, to not even to like talk about the proposal, but just to tell her like, yeah, I didn't read it and I'm probably not going to give you money, before just completely cutting off the meeting altogether to go see her kids, which, like, yes, that's important, but also like the level of disrespect to Bet was pretty like blatant, I think. And so I just felt I felt for Bet in that moment. Bet also has a lot of pressure from the board. Like, she is incessantly calling the Peabody Foundation because she has this big pressure on her to like make nice with the Peabody Foundation in order to get this funding.
Yeah.
Or else what's the CAC gonna do?
So Bet becomes very desperate and she tracks down Peggy Peabody, which this is like such a crazy scene. I don't know.
I'm so shook.
So first of all, Holland Taylor, what an actress, the actress that you are. But she's like in this spa with this like young Italian hunky guy and an interpreter, and they're like both getting massages, and Bet's in there like, Peggy, please, like, please save our arts. And she's just like, you know what the secret to life is? Making out with young hot men. And like the interpreter's there, and we find out the interpreter like goes in the bedroom with them too. It's just such a silly scene, but I was like so cringed out the whole time.
I feel like this is just night and day from the Peggy Peabody that we saw before.
Yeah.
Like, what has happened?
I think she's like, I'm retired.
She retired and took her bra off and went, woohoo! For
yeah.
me. Just wild. But anyway, you do you, girl.
I know. That's what makes you happy.
So yeah, no such luck for Bet. But basically Peggy tells her, has she told you no? Have faith. And
which I don't have any faith.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that, but all right, lady. So Bet now enters her woe is me era, as she does, and goes to the bar. And she, orders her little absolute martini. She's sitting at the bar, and she does her sultry little over the shoulder, make eye contact with this woman who looks an awfully lot like her contractor, Lady Love. And
oh, you thought it looked like the contractor?
Yeah.
I thought it looked like Bet.
Yeah, also that too.
I was like, oh, Bet just found the person in the bar who looks most like her.
Yeah, that as well. The sentiment I felt is not like Tina. Basically just the complete opposite as Tina.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And she ditches her drink, goes up to her. Do you want to dance? They start dancing all sexy. Then next thing we know, this girl is back in Bet's hotel room. She's like, oh, it's so nice. Bet goes, it'll do. Which that was so gross to me. Like, oh, what? This nice hotel isn't good enough for you, Bet? Okay. Whatever. She then proceeds to have sex with this woman. And it was just, from the moment she like laid eyes on this woman all the way through the follow through where she never stopped herself, I was like, yeah, she does not have any sort of like self-control or like actual real commitment to getting Tina back.
I just like thought of it as like a fucking spiral. Like, she's so sad.
I agree. She is so sad, but also if she really locked into what the consequences of her actions are and like, oh, this is the situation, and if I really actually want any sort of chance with repairing my relationship with my partner, then like I won't do this.
Yeah. No, you're not
And
wrong.
she just isn't.
And there's also just like no way for Bet or Tina to find out about this either.
True.
Which is like another thing for Bet to just be like, fuck it, I don't care anymore.
True. It's just disappointing.
It was. I think it's really, yeah, Bet's just continuing her downward spiral.
And this was right after she told Helena, oh, my partner and I are trying to start a family. I'm like, are you delusional?
No,
you don't have
yeah.
a partner anymore. You are not trying to start a family anymore because you made such a huge betrayal to her. Like, you hurt her so deeply that she is no longer involved with you. And she's made that clear to you, and you are not in the picture. And here you are, like, further cementing that and proving that you're going to continue to make that choice over and over again.
Mm-hmm. She was just trying to get on Helena's good side. She was trying to be like, oh, we're the same. Give us money. It was so gross. Speaking of Tina, I think like really got a backbone this episode finally and like stood up to her lawyer friend who was like so gross. I'm sorry. That was like it's very much like the psychologist thing, like conflict of interest in my opinion. And I mean, maybe it's not as frowned upon, but it's definitely like not okay what happens because yeah, Jane Lynch comes in. Tina got her a flower, which was very nice just to like say thank you for letting me stay here. And she come and Jane Lynch comes in and like is just full on hitting on her. And I think like also blurred like some lines of consent too. And she was like trying to kiss her. It was gross. So she kisses her on the bed and Tina is like, I don't want this. And like gets up and like starts packing to leave.
Yeah. I mean, and it was more than like a blurred line because she flat out said, oh, don't worry, you can. I've made love to pregnant women before. I'll be careful.
Ew.
Like, yeah, it's not like, oh, do you want this? It's okay if you are worried. You can. I've got it.
I know.
I'm going to do this anyway. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until Tina like physically pushed her off of her that it stopped.
Which is sad as like somebody like a pregnant woman to have to like physically push someone off you.
And I felt it coming for like the last several episodes because the boundaries were just getting more and more blurred because Joyce lets herself into the guest house, which is she's made Tina's living space, so right. She should not enter, right?
Right, exactly.
She lets herself in. She gets really, really physically close to her. She constantly is kind of it's like smacking on Bet, like bringing down Bet's character in a way that like Tina's sort of uncomfortable with.
Right. Yeah.
Not that I am a defender of Bet by any means, but you can see the way that it's sort of in a way that like Joyce is elevating herself by like stepping on the back of Bet. Yeah, these lines just like keep getting blurred more and more until Joyce is closer and closer and closer to Tina.
So now I'm like wondering what's going to happen with the case,
Yeah. And this was something I was thinking about too, because with somebody like Tina and even with somebody like myself, someone like Tina, if she's in a case and she feels like she owes Joyce because Joyce has done so much for her, even if she feels like her and Bet have maybe come far enough and like worked something out, she might not do what she feels like she should do because she feels like she owes Joyce something.
Right. Yeah.
Which like I can relate to because say in my personal life, if I feel like somebody has helped me out like a whole bunch and I've talked to them a whole bunch about a situation, but then I feel like, okay, well, maybe the advice they gave me, like, oh, maybe that wasn't actually the right thing for me to do. But then I feel guilty, like doing not that thing.
Right.
But I feel like I owe them to do the thing that they think that I should do. Like I understand what Tina could be feeling here. And it feels like it's about to just get really, really messy.
Yeah, I'm more concerned that Tina's just going to be like, fuck all of this. I have like dropped the case against Tina, Bet, run away from Jane Lynch, whose name I can't remember.
Joyce.
Joyce, thank you. And be like, I'm pregnant and this is what I'm going to focus on. Okay, let's talk about Kit.
Okay.
So Kit is like really wanting this like new business venture with the planet. She wants to like revamp it, turn it into like a performance space. So she goes to like a Tony Robbins fucking esque self-help guru. I can make you money out of nothing type guy. And he's so ick. He's like telling all the people in the audience like what animal they are. And like he just using the most general terms, like doesn't know anything. He gets to Kit and like Kit's like, I think I'm an alley cat, which I was like, that's cute, Kit. Like I did think that was cute. But I just think this guy is sleazy and slimy. And he's like, so then she goes up to get her book signed after. And he's like, how can I like help you, little lady? That was like the essence of his aura to me. And then he's like, tells her about the cafe. And he's like, you should up the price on your best dessert for $5. And then you'll have enough money to take my master's seminar. I was just like, ew.
Yeah, like he makes himself her top priority.
Disgusting. Yeah, there's not a lot to say on that. Like literally that's all that happens. We're going to see what Kit does with this, I think.
Yeah, he also keeps giving her these eyes that I feel like he's into her.
Yeah, I do too.
And he keeps commenting on her flashing eyes.
What
does this mean?
Flashing eyes, right?
Flashing eyes.
I kind of feel like it's a weird... Haylie just flashed her eyes at me. I think it's like a weird departure for Kit's character, though. Like, I didn't feel like the strong, grounded Kit. I felt like she was very like in a skittish sense of self, which I thought was weird for Kit.
Well, because he played to her insecurities right off the bat. He said, oh, you're an alley cat because what? You are irresponsible, you're selfish. Like, he immediately named the things that she felt like were her worst qualities.
Right.
And that like put her in this frame of mind. And also I think that he automatically did that like before she even said anything out loud, because he set it up that he was naming other people's like worst qualities based on, I mean, not even that was necessarily true that those were their worst qualities.
Right.
But now everyone else in the room thinks that those are those people's worst qualities.
Right. Exactly.
If you're believing this man, right? So that's enough to be like, oh, I'm a little nervous. What if this man calls on me? Now everyone's going to think that I have all of these like horrible qualities and they're going to get called out to everybody. So I think he purposely does that. So now he gets to swoop in and be like, oh, you're terrible, but I can fix you.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Classic kind of like mooch leech type of person.
Alice,
Dana and Alice.
Yeah. So Alice goes on a date with a boy. And
that, what's her face? Tanya set her up with.
Yeah, which is so interesting to me that Tanya did that. Why do we think she did that?
I don't know. I didn't think about that. I was more thinking like, because she wants a double date and this is Dana's best friend and let's give her someone to occupy her time with.
I would have thought that she would have set her up with a girl.
Oh, well, Tanya knows she's bi.
But Alice, I feel like every time that Alice like dates a boy, she figures out that she didn't actually she wasn't like super actually into it.
Yeah.
Like she wanted him to be
a girl.
Yeah. You know, it's not necessarily like a Jenny situation or
right.
Yeah. But anyway, so she's on this date with this boy and Dana gets really jealous and kind of like follows Alice to the side and is like, do you have to flirt with him? And Alice is like, what do you want me to do? Oh my gosh.
I know.
And which like, yeah, Dana, that's insane. You're literally getting married. your fiance set this girl up with this dude. What do you want her to do? Ignore him? That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then Dana just lays one on her.
Which, like, how bold. It kisses her right in the middle of the fair, and Tanya and them are on the Ferris wheel, which
where they have the perfect
everything.
the perfect vantage point.
Yes.
I was just waiting for them to reveal that she saw it, but they never did.
I know.
Yeah. So that was real lucky for them. But anyway, that like sort of didn't get resolved. It just it ended there. And then we see Alice later pull up at Shane and Jenny's, and
which I'm excited to get into.
Sort of awkward. Yeah. The crowd of people there is not really one that like Alice necessarily always hangs out with. And it feels like she's maybe like a little on the outside, and she's like, anyone want beer? No. Okay. She's just kind of there until they get in the pool and she's hanging out with Shane more. It's basically until Shane stops being like fully making out with a girl on the couch.
Right.
But that's where we leave Alice.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying about this episode. It seemed kind of filler because there wasn't a ton of movement in a lot of the storylines, except for this weird Jenny Shane thing that's happening. Which, okay, yeah, like, so Jenny and Shane are looking for a new roommate. They cannot afford to stay there splitting the rent, which I thought that was a cute scene where they're like, oh good, we're both on the same boat, like neither one of us can afford it.
Yeah. I thought they were so wholesome together this whole episode.
I know. I think they're so cute.
And like the opening was one of my favorite parts, the opening scene of all the friends together at the planet.
Yeah. Because
they're all talking about like what size penis they would have. And Jenny was like, I think I have a really small penis. And Kit walks up and that's like the first thing she hears. And she's like, girl, we've got to work on your self-esteem. And Shane goes, oh yeah, we've been working on it.
Wait. Have you been watching Queer Ultimatum season 2?
No. Okay. I started the first episode and it made me so sad because just like I did watch season 1, but the premise of it, and especially after seeing all of season 1 and knowing just like the havoc that is wreaked upon these people, and also like I've seen like online and a little bit in person how sad and like sensitive this has been for some of the people. And so like just knowing what was about to happen to these people, I was just like, it felt like knowing that a bomb was about to go off and forcing myself to sit there and watch. And I was like, I can't do it.
Okay. Well, then you won't mind me saying this, because Shane and Jenny remind me of Marita and Brittany, because these two get like coupled up and they're just like besties living their best life together. Like they weren't each other's picks, like at all. Both like two, just two like besties living together. And it reminded me of Shane and Jenny in this episode.
Oh,
it was
that's
cute.
Sweet.
It was very cute.
That's really sweet.
So yeah, they're looking for a new roommate and they are interviewing some real duds. One guy looks promising, but then turns out he's a nudist. Until this guy, Mark, shows up. And he shows up video camera in hand, which like first red flag to me. I was like, that's fucking weird.
Yeah.
What'd you think of Mark?
I have some red flags about it. See, he gave some really mixed signals because like when the camera was off, he seemed genuine, but in the room with his friend there, his friend was real creepy, and just the way he came in videotaping, I don't know, there's like some just really weird vibes. I feel like he's about to secretly make a documentary about these gay women.
I know. And I felt like he's like genuinely a nice guy, but his friend, it's like, like Tofu girlfriend, he's like a Tofu guy friend, where he's just like, whoever's in the room, those are the morals that I'm going to have. Because like with Jenny and Shane, like he's, especially in the very end of the episode, like seems like a nice dude. Yeah. So anyway, Mark becomes the roommate. He's going to live in the studio. He's like a documentarian / but like also does like some really gross like videos just to like pay the bills. Not like porn, but like, well, I guess World's Worst
Maybe.
Bachelor Parties was kind of porny.
And like the Catholic girls.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah. It's unclear if it's porn or not. Very well could be.
But he's an artist, quote unquote. He's a creator. And I think that's what draws Jenny and Shane to him. Like, okay, this is the best of what we got.
Yeah, because they've gone through some real stinkers here. They had a man that they really thought was going to be a winner, and then he strips naked to prove that nudism isn't a big deal.
Right.
They have a girl who they think is going to be fine, and then she figures out that they might be gay and tries to send them to like this Exodus ministry to cure their homosexuality. They just have like a lot of people that have something seriously wrong in a roommate, you know?
Right. So I want to talk about the end scene because, okay, so Jenny and Carmen, we know have a little thing, but Shane and Jenny are, no, not Shane and Jenny, Carmen and Shane have a thing where I think like Carmen really likes Shane. Mm-hmm. So in that scene that you're talking about at the house where Alice comes in, Carmen is there. Because Shane was like, I'll invite Carmen for you, Jenny, which weird. Shane's like making out with this girl on the couch and Carmen's like, you know what? I'm going to leave. Like, this is not for me. And that's the only thing we get with Carmen this episode, sadly. But then they all go out to the pool. And this is where we see the creepy dude friend of Mark. Cause he's like, oh my God, you so scored. Like just, you really see the embodiment of like sexualization of women and lesbians specifically through this character. But what I want to talk about is like the Mark and Jenny conversation.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really cute, but also like, yeah, go ahead.
This reminded me of the conversation we had about how Margaret had written about women at the college, how they identified each other as gay.
Yes. Yeah, because he's like, you know, they're talking about like how you know a woman is gay because Mark says to Jenny, if I saw you at a bar, I would assume you're straight. And then they both, which I thought was really sweet, were like, yeah, like together, we're like, yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. Like, no, that doesn't mean anything. And I thought for Mark to like have that realization, like I thought that was a point in his favor right now, right? Mm-hmm. But I think it sends Jenny on like a creative Pisces little spiral of like, I don't want to look the way I look anymore. I want to be in the community and be seen in the community. But her validation is coming from people, it seems like, outside of the community, right? Like she wants straight people to know that she's gay. And yeah, I thought that was sad for her.
Yeah. I felt so torn. On the one hand, it felt like she was doing it a little bit for her at the very last few seconds. It felt like, okay, this is for me. But up until then, it felt like this was not for her. It felt like it was for like you're saying, to fit in.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, after that little scene, we cut to the play, you need to talk about this as a PA because this was fucking weird to me. So Jenny's in the kitchen, Shane comes out and Jenny's like, can you cut my hair? I want you to do it right now. And Shane's like, okay, like, what do you want? And she's like, I want it short. And they have this like cute little moment where Shane's, you know, like comes in my chair, you know, but her comb and her hairbrush are just sitting right there. Did Jenny grab them? Like, what is that?
That made me laugh too. I'm like, that took me out of it as well.
Okay, good. I'm glad that you caught that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we also, okay, so then the haircut happens, and this was like the most stunning moment of acting.
Yes, I absolutely agree. I was like, God damn, like you can see a million things on her face.
Yeah. The moment of connection between the two of them before the scissors ever touch her hair. And then Jenny just acting by herself and all of the emotions she goes through, the tears silently going down her face. And she's crying. She looks so sad. And then she just looks free
at
the end. It was an incredible performance. It was beautiful. Stunning.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I forget the actress's name, but yeah, the actress that plays Jenny is an incredible actress all throughout this series. I find her to be really inspiring from an acting standpoint.
I think we also have to talk about Shane and her job.
Oh, that's all right. Oh my God, I forgot about that.
We forgot about this, yes. So she's on set. There's this actress who's like causing a big holdup on set. Apparently she is notorious for doing this, and the studio head is really upset about it. And Shane goes in, which the studio head is not on set. I was like, what the heck? That's okay. But
not accurate.
Yeah. She's holding up the production. Shane goes in and talks to her, and within 5 minutes gets this whole thing cleared up. But in the process of that, calls the studio head a crazy bitch. And because the sound guy, which also this would never happen, the sound person always turns off their packs in between takes so that you can't like spy on what the actors are saying. They can go to the bathroom in peace, blah, blah, blah. But clearly for the drama, they did not do that. The studio head hears Shane say that. And so the studio head is like, I need that person to come talk to me, blah, blah, blah. And we think that Shane's going to be in trouble. Also, Shane gets led into the trailer of the studio head, which is the nicest trailer I've seen in my entire life. I've been in a lot of nice trailers in my day.
None of them studio like head, Haylie. She's the studio head.
Craziness. Yeah. Absolute craziness. Like, especially to have on location a trailer for the studio. That's just unheard of. That's not a thing. Anyway. Okay. But really nice trailer. We walk in and she is not mad at Shane. She kind of threatens her job, but then she tells her, you're my assistant now. I was impressed with you. You have a special skill, and that is talking to people. And Shane is like, I don't really want that job. I'm a hair cutter. And she's like, too bad. You're my assistant. I'll tell you what to do. And that's it.
It's very seems very predatory. And Shane is just constantly finding herself in positions of getting taken advantage of.
Yeah. And she insults, she's like, are you a homeless gender confused? Are you the poster boy of homeless gender confused people? And Shane just looks down and is like, sure.
Yeah, I am. You're right. I love that.
But that's kind of it for everyone, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, again, guys, I think this is more of a filler episode. I think it's introducing new characters. I think it's just moving plot lines along just a little bit until we can get to a tension point.
Yeah. You guys, our next episode is going to be Tangled Darkness by Mary Detch. And this book is not out yet, but it will be out on July 15th. 14th?
Yeah.
Something of the mid-teens of July. So as soon as that drops, go read it. It is a psychological thriller. The main character is a lesbian. It is very good, and it takes place in Portland. So if you're a West Coast PNW gay, you'll be excited about this. Yes. So anyway, go read. We love you guys.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.